Hello, I hope you're doing well today. Today I want to talk about a new book that just came out by William Bengen. He was the father of the 4% rule, which is a little bit of a misnomer because it's not actually 4%, it's 4.2. But whatever. If you've delved into retirement planning or the FIRE movement, then you're familiar with the 4% rule, or also known as you need 25 times your current earnings in order to be able to, well, at least be able to have a safe withdrawal rate, essentially. So the original 4% rule that he goes by Bill Bengen put out was that that would be that 4%, which is actually 4.2%, is the most you can withdraw from an account over a 30-year period without running out of money. And of course, there were some assumptions there about the mix of investments, half equities and half bonds. And so I just want to cover a few highlights of the book, a few things I liked and a few things I didn't like. So let's get started. One of the things that I like is that the book has a lot of data. Bill has this historical data, and so he's able to definitively say if you retire at this specific date over a 30-year period, and you withdraw this specific amount with these certain investments, then your money would have lasted through retirement or would not. And a lot of that has to do with things that you just can't know, right? But one of the benefits is he's not using a Monte Carlo simulation. He's actually looking at historical data, which I think is great. Now, obviously, there's a limited amount of historical data you can look at, but that's the way it goes. I found it interesting that essentially he said, if you have a pretty well diversified portfolio, then that 4.2% can be increased to approximately 4.7%, which I thought was good, because in a lot of cases, the 4% or the 4.2% was kind of the worst case scenario as far as the timing of retirement and returns from the stock market and inflation. And that happened right around the late 60s. If you had retired in the late 60s, then you would have been hit with all sorts of bad things. But in a lot of cases, you could spend more, or in some cases, he also assumes that you don't have any sort of money left to give for heirs. And I'll leave a link above, but in my original kind of review of the 4% rule, one of the things that bothered me was that he never did address some realities that we all experience, such as taxes and Medicare and Social Security. He just kind of extrapolates those away just for the purposes of keeping the data clean and being able to make some observations, which I understand and I agree with, but I guess that would be one of the takeaways from this rule is that no one knows for sure, and no one can predict what investments, what their return is going to be like, and such factors as inflation, which make a big impact upon someone. Everyone has I guess another takeaway from the book is based upon when you retire in your particular situation, it's your withdrawal rate, your safe withdrawal rate is going to be unique to you, and it's going to be different for everyone. He gave an example in the book where two people retired 9 months apart and they had radically different safe withdrawal rates just because of what was going on in the world with inflation and a stock market crash, a bear market, all those type of factors. One of the nice things about the book was he broke down 8 different elements or factors that impact a safe withdrawal rate for yourself. And just to mention them briefly, if I got them here, let me look at my notes. I don't list them, but he talks about different things, such as different factors, such as what's your planning length and what your portfolio looks like, and if you want to leave a legacy or not. So, and this is going to be unique and different for everyone. So, and those type of elements can sway your safe withdrawal rate one direction or the other. He also talks about a couple of things that are going on in the world that can also impact that, and inflation being a big one. But another one is the Shiller ratio, PE ratio, which basically has to do with being able to tell or get, well, it's just a ratio that kind of indicates if the stock market is rich or valued pretty highly or not. So that can have a lot to do with the safe withdrawal rate as well. If the stock market's very richly valuated, then that might indicate that there's going to be troubles in the future that would impact your ability to withdraw money and experience a sequence of returns risk where the first 5 or 10 years of retirement, you have to withdraw from your retirement account and your investments take a pretty good hit, which can really kind of put you in a bad position. And so that Shiller index, the Shiller ratio, has to do with the price earnings of a broad market over a 10-year period, accounting for inflation. So you can look it up and learn a little bit more. But just all that to say is that can be impactful to your withdrawal rate as well. One of the things I love about the book is actually in the very back of the book, he has a recommended book list, which I found very impressive and a very good list. And he also had a list of just articles that you can find online that talk about retirement planning. And I thought that was an excellent list. He also recommended some free software where you could punch in a few variables about length of your planning period and make some adjustments to your portfolio and how much money you have, and be able to take a look at some charts and some graphs based upon his information, based upon his data he provides. And it's not from him, but it was an interesting website called bigpickapp.co. And I'll put a link down below. But I found that a pretty useful tool just to go and punch in some information and look at the charts it provides. So I thought that was helpful as well. One of the things I didn't like about the book was that the data, there was almost too much data. In a lot of cases, he would provide scenarios, talk about the different elements, and then he would choose 3 different periods of retirement. One that was in a bad situation, another was in a really good situation, and another was kind of average. And so once you look at those 3 examples for just about everything, every factor that he talks about, it's a lot. It's a lot of data, it's a lot of charts, it's a lot of numbers. If you're into this stuff and really like the details, then you'll probably appreciate it. But I almost found it overwhelming and a bit too dry at times. So one of the other things I really didn't appreciate about the book was he at the very end, he kind of summarized and said, go forth and plan and good luck. But he didn't really necessarily tie it all together nice and neatly for you to figure out. Some of these factors about length of retirement and if you want to leave a legacy, and just tying it all together in a way where you could kind of synthesize all the information real quickly and start trying to figure out what a good, perhaps safe withdrawal rate would be for you. You still kind of have to put it all together yourself. He mentioned several times about putting more charts and graphs and information on his website. I went out and looked at it, and there's a little information in a spreadsheet that you can kind of fiddle with. I haven't fiddled with it really, but and maybe if I spend time with that, that's where he kind of puts everything together. But I found that I lacked a concise list of things I need to do to put together a safe withdrawal amount percentage based upon my specific situation. So I found that a little lacking. He does give 5 case studies towards the end of the book, using different sort of situations and scenarios, which is helpful. But again, I'm trying to put that together for my particular situation. I found it a bit challenging. At the end of the day, I found this book useful, educational. I'll put the link down in the notes, and if you're interested, go for it. If you really dig this sort of information and this topic, then it's a very educational book. I highly recommend it. If you use a link, it does help out the channel. I get a small commission, but if not, just Google it. And again, it was just released, and I received my copy just a little over a week ago. So, but I hope you found this information useful. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I'm curious though, what do you think about the 4% rule and it being actually 4.2, or actually if you have a nice, well-diversified portfolio, 4.7? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's nice to have this sort of number as kind of a starting point for planning, or do you find that it's perhaps misleading? I'd be interested in your thoughts on it. Okay, that's all for now. Take care, and we'll talk again soon.